Hello and thank you for joining us. It's time for news. Enjoy with me, Jacqueline Saidi. The headlines. The Holy Father Pope Francis has urged world leaders to use dialogue in resolving differences. Government and tobacco growers have differed on prices as marketing season starts. DPP Central Region announces its endorsement of President Professor Alpha Peter Mutharika as torchbearer in the 2025 general elections. And in other news, leaked intelligence documents show that the West countries have deployed special forces to Ukraine. We have these and more. Stay with us. Pope Francis has, during the commemoration of Pope John 23rd's Cold War encyclical, urged world leaders to use reason in resolving differences and not war. Speaking, the Pope evoked the memories of the 1960s Cold War between Washington, D.C. and Moscow and the tension that was there in the world. He said his predecessor's message that was noted in the 1960s encyclical still speaks for today. We have a Vatican report being read by Tandiwe Mzumara.
During his weekly general audience on Wednesday, Pope Francis said the letter that Pope John XXIII wrote was intended for both the Catholic Church and the world at large. The letter came several months after the Cuban Missile Crisis had brought fears of a nuclear war between the United States and what was then the Soviet Union. Recalling the tension that covered the world then, Pope Francis said that Pope John XXIII's letter brought into the world a message that encouraged peace efforts, and the message is still useful in the modern world, calling it a real blessing, like a serene break in the midst of dark clouds. Pope Francis cited a passage in the letter that encourages relations between political communities to be regulated not by choosing the use of force of arms, but by reasoning. He then encouraged the faithful to read the letter, prayed that heads of nations should let themselves be inspired by the message. The letter was written in 1963 on the 11th of April.
Members of Parliament have passed the Disaster Risk Management Bill, which, among others, makes provision over the prevention of disasters in Malawi and for disaster preparedness and disaster mitigation. The new law, if assented to by President Lazarus Chakwera, will also transform the Department of Disaster Management Affairs into a commission with full mandate to operate independently. Presenting the bill in Parliament, Minister of Justice Titus Simfaro said the effects of Cyclone Freddy have devastated the country, hence the bill being of paramount importance. We have a report by Bridget Wanoka.
The country has been using a 1991 Act which looks at response, not preparedness, risk management and hazard management, among others. The bill seeks to repeal the Disaster Preparedness and Relief Act and replaces it with a new act in order to align the law with developments in the area of disaster preparedness, risk reduction, and response and recovery. Mvalo told the House that the bill is important because the country will start managing the risks and hazards. He said this can also help put in place an area warning system that can support and force some communities to move out from risk areas. Speaking on behalf of the opposition United Democratic Front (UDF), Esther Jolobala told journalists that the party is in support of the bill as it provides measures to ensure disaster preparedness through, among others, the development of multi-hazard contingency plans.
As a country, I think we have been waiting for the disaster management bill quite for a long time, because as we all agree that currently we did not have proper coordination whenever disaster happens. The example will be the current just ended Cyclone Freddy, where we saw government taking some days, before responding to the cyclone. That was a lack of coordination and legislation in place on what the government should do in terms of those kind of cyclones.
In Parliament, legislators have also passed Malawi Defence Bill, which seeks to repeal the Defence Force Act, caption 1201, and replace it with new legislation that reflects the changes in the functional operations and administration of the Defence Force over the years. As the Defence Minister Harry Mkandarire explains that the bill will, among other things, provide for composition of the Defence Force as comprising the Army, the Maritime Force, the Air Force and the National Service, with the National Service serving as a reserve force for the Army, the Air Force and the Maritime Force. The Ministry of Homeland Security has said it has deployed security officers in areas synonymously involved with illegal pricing of farm yields across the country to monitor this year's marketing season. Homeland Affairs Minister Ken Zikali Ngoma was reacting to recent questions from the general public on how government intends to ensure that the prices are followed. Government, through the Ministry of Agriculture, announced last month that farm gate prices from the 2023 season for Malawi's staple commodity maize prices were set at 500 kwacha per kilogram, 120 kwacha up from the price set in 2022. However, in an interview on Wednesday, Minister Zikali Ngoma said that those who fail to comply with these prices will be met by the law. Here's what he said.
There is that collaboration. We are signing a communique maybe today or tomorrow in that regard so that we protect our farmers. So that's true. We are working hand in hand and we ensure that we protect our farmers completely. It is, these people work the whole season. And when it's time they're desperate looking for money, some scrupulous businessmen come in to buy those things at a very low price, and that creates a problem for them. So instead of them sorting out their problems, they keep on incurring problems now and again. Now we want to stop that. This is the time to stop it. And we're making sure that whoever buys any crop and below the price the government has set will be arrested right away and charged. You saw what has happened in Doha. I've already started. And I will ensure, and soon we're having an operation whereby we'll go deep into the villages to make sure that nobody buys below price. Nobody.
Remember, you're still watching news right here on Luntha Television. We'll be back after the break.
Luntha TV is now on Zuku Channel 51. You can get yourself a Zuku decoder from the Luntha TV offices in Area 2, Lilongwe, and from all the St. Manford bookshops across the country in Kasungu, Lilongwe, Salima, Dedza, Balaka, Zomba, Mulanje, Blantyre, Chikwawa, Mwanza, and Mangochi. For more information, contact 0883 815 055 or 0996 892 965. Get a Zuku decoder today and not miss daily mass, worship and prayers, news bulletins, and so much more on Luntha TV, bringing wisdom into your home.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, remember it's still news time right here on Luntha Television, coming to you live from Bishop Nevi Media Center. Moving forward, there are possibilities of both North, Central and Southern opposition DPP regions, earmarking the party's president, Professor Peter Mutharika, as the torchbearer in the 2025 general elections. This follows announcement by the party's Central Region Governor on Wednesday that the region wants Mutharika to lead, with unconfirmed reports indicating that Southern Region Governor Charles Njaja has joined the bandwagon. The DPP Central Region leadership also welcomed into the party former MCP's Central Region Disciplinary Committee Chair Frank Chuanda and two others. We have a report by Robert Edward.
With days moving closer to the opposition DPP's elective convention this year, another Central Region bloc has followed suit, asking the party's president, Professor Peter Mutharika, to lead the Blue Camp in the pending 2025 general elections. Last year, the Northern Region bloc also endorsed Mutharika, a development which did not go down well with other DPP factions and some political analysts describing the move as a goof. Speaking to journalists in Lilongwe on Wednesday, Vice President for Central Region Zelia Jagale emphasized they are not stopping any candidate from contesting APM at the convention.
To deliver this message to the former president, Professor Peter Mutharika, that people are crying for his leadership because they have an experience of his kind of leadership. That's why they talk of what they experience, what they know, while they have no idea of. In fact, the idea they have is about this kind of leadership which is here now.
She was speaking when she welcomed former MCP vocal member Frank Chiwanda, former UTM member Romeo Banali, and Shaibu Luemba. Insert Chiwanda. Secretary General for the party, Griselda Jeffrey, told Luntha TV on Monday that DPP constitution does not provide for endorsement but an elective convention, but was quick to further mention that the endorsements are an indication of a democratic DPP.
That was Robert Edward. Government has encouraged Malawians to make sure that they are following the made-out procedures for moving in or out of the country. In an interview with Luntha Television, spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, John Kabange, said there are many people who are trying to break the law by using irregular means of moving in or out of Malawi. The government has been promoting that people should use proper documents. He has, however, encouraged Malawians to understand the dangers of traveling without proper travel documents, permits, among other things. Charity Chilanga caught up with Kabange.
Malawians to say that there are so many people who are trying to break the law, maybe tell you to break the law or entice you to do things in the wrong way. But why government has been promoting that people should use proper documents is that it actually gives you security. When you are using irregular means of moving to Malawi, coming into Malawi, you are at risk, you put your life at risk. So I think the most important thing is that more Malawians should understand the dangers of traveling without the proper travel documents, without the permits and all that. We really encourage Malawians to make sure that they are following the laid out the procedures for coming out of this country.
In sports news, the Football Association of Malawi FAM has released a financial report of this year's NBS FAM Charity Shield that was played last Sunday at Bingu National Stadium in Lilongwe that involved FCB Nyasa Big Bullets and their arch rival Mighty Mukuru Wanderers. According to FAM's marketing manager, a total of 54.6 million kwacha was the gross revenue, as 20 million kwacha was sponsorship from the NBS Bank, whereas 29.7 million kwacha was generated from the tickets. According to Matola, 20.3 million kwacha from the Charity Shield and 10.1 million kwacha from the revenue realized from AFCON qualifying match between Malawi and Egypt will be channeled towards the cyclone-friendly response. This is part of what Matola said.
We're pleased to report that the match, NBS Bank charity match between FCB Nyasa Big Bullets and Mighty Mukuru Wanderers netted 20.3 million. We're happy. It was a success. A success because this is the highest we've got since the inception of Charity Shield in 2016. And again, this figure 20.3 is almost double the amount we got last year, which was 10.3. So it was a success. However, we think we could have done better. There was an opportunity to do so if it went for some instances which led to some revenue leakage at the gate. But we would want to thank the police for intervening. The police reported that they apprehended 15 culprits, and we believe that the law will take its course. Over and above the 20.3 million realized, FAM will also channel 10.2 million from the match between Malawi and Egypt towards the same cause. This means that in total, FAM is donating 30.5 million to support Cyclone Freddy survivors.
Lastly, in international news, leaked Pentagon documents are showing that 3 Western countries, namely US, UK and France, are among the Western countries that have deployed special forces in Ukraine. The documents, which are said to have highly classified intelligence-related information to the war in Ukraine, have emerged online in recent weeks. However, Britain has warned against taking the allegations in the reported leak of US classified information at face value. We have more in this Al Jazeera report.
According to the leaked documents, 97 Special Forces personnel from NATO countries were active in Ukraine during February and March this year. Media outlets, including BBC and The Guardian, reported that documents dated March 23, 2023, indicate that more than half of the Western Special Forces deployed in Ukraine are from the United Kingdom. UK Special Forces conducted training with Ukrainian military forces in 2021. However, the UK government has not publicly disclosed whether special forces have been active in the country since Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine on February 24, 2022. Meanwhile, Egypt has denied supplying Russia with weapons, as a leaked document dated 17 February appeared to show that the country planned to supply Russia with rockets and ammunition secretly.
Well, that is also all we had for you for now. And remember, in today's news, the news that made the headlines, Pope Francis urged world leaders to use dialogue in resolving differences. The DPP Central Region announced its endorsement of President Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika as torchbearer in the 2025 general elections. And in international news, leaked intelligence documents show that the West countries have deployed special forces to Ukraine. You have been with me, Jacqueline Saidi. Thank you very much for watching Luntha Television, and stay safe.